TG Geeks, episode 214, March 25th, 2019, The Howling Winds of Horror. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Stiff and Sore Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from, I feel every bit of 93 years old with my sore body because we did 5 games of bowling yesterday, but we'll talk about that later here in Phoenix, Arizona.
And let's get on with this show.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, we have an interview with Emma Tammi, who's making her directorial debut. So we'll find out what that film is and how she got into that and all of that kind of neat stuff. Have our birthday shout-outs as always, our featured podcast of the week, everybody's favorite feedback, and then in our second segment, we're going to talk about stuff and things.
Stuff and things.
Stuff and things. That's special for Tomasi. So, and our weekly recap as well as our follow-up items. Please listen. We have important things that we do talk about in the follow-up. And so let's just get right to it. And this time on the show, we have a special guest, Director Emma Tammi, and we're going to let her tell you about herself and what project she's working on. Welcome to the show, Emma.
Thanks, guys. So great to be here.
Yeah, so tell us who... Go ahead, tell us who Emma Tammi is, and then we'll talk about your project.
Who am I? Big question. I am To cut to the point, I guess, I'm the director of the film The Wind, which is coming out April 5th through IFC Midnight. And I've been producing and directing documentary films for many years, and this is my first stab at directing a narrative feature. So I'm really excited to be talking about this one and to have it go out into the world right now.
Wow, that's incredible.
You said you're doing documentary. How did you get into movie making or documentary making in the first place?
You know, in undergrad, I was studying sociology. I was studying film as well, but I was majoring in sociology. And having, since I was a kid, really been totally captured. Film just captured my imagination at such a young age, and I think that cinema was always, thankfully, a part of my life. My parents were always playing movies in our house, and we also went to a lot of obscure film festivals in New York City, which is where I grew up.
Nice parents.
So I felt like at an early age I was exposed to a lot, and a lot of classics that I think you don't always get to see nowadays and as a kid. But having said that, getting into sociology, I was just very interested in studying who we are as society and as people, and I found film was the medium that I wanted to really focus on in doing so. So, you know, being a fly on the wall, quote unquote, and capturing different people and different places through film was what I really got into in undergrad, and then right after I graduated, I just started making documentaries really in in a lot of different forms. I started producing, but I also started editing and was doing that for many years and got to assist and edit under a lot of really wonderful master editors. And I think that was a great introduction to not only building nonfiction films, but really just learning how to tell a story, because you're basically writing documentary stories through the post-production process. So in editing, I felt like I really learned the fundamentals actually of how to make a narrative film as well in many ways. So this felt like a natural progression. My parents are actors, and I grew up among the theater world and actors and directors, and I felt like, eventually working with actors was something that I very much wanted to do, and this was the first opportunity to get my foot into that, and it was really exceptional, and I'm so glad I did it. I so hope I get to keep doing it.
Well, that's incredible. And The Wind is a horror film. Is that correct?
It is.
So
it is a horror western film.
Oh, wow.
So two really fun
Southwest horror. Woohoo!
Yeah, exactly.
I had to ask that question because another really good friend of ours is a director, and she directed documentaries as well and transitioned into horror. So it's really fascinating that there's two different paths here that we've seen people follow, as documentaries to horror, and
actually
horror,
we know three,
and women in horror.
We know
so
three
it's
people.
Really great.
We know yes. I mean, you're the second woman, but we know three people total who've actually done that. Oh, good grief! That movie just went right out of my head.
Oh well,
doesn't matter. But it's an interesting transition. So let's talk about why you wanted to make that jump from doing the documentary into doing a fictional work. You mentioned this desire to want to work with actors. Did that help spur on the story, or did you have this little thing kind of nudging at the back of your brain that made you say, this could be a really fun tale to tell? How did that all come about?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because with documentary, you're guiding the story in some ways, but you're also really trying to find it and follow it in an authentic way. And I think with narrative, what's so cool about it is you're really able to come at it with a different level of control, and I think you're able to push things in directions that can sometimes go further than documentary. So I found, in some ways, starting with documentary and transitioning to narrative is kind of a seamless and organic transition, because I was able, especially with this one, which was inspired by true events, I was able to kind of take that as the building block and foundation for the story we were telling, and then really take it to another level in terms of both the horror and the cinematography and the world building, let alone the performances. And I think that when you're making a feature film, you're on the journey with the cast in such a collaborative way that you as a director are discovering new things about the characters every day as well, alongside with them. So that was a whole other element that I was really excited to add to the filmmaking process. But I think this one in particular, the script really grabbed my attention because it was coming from something that was rooted in history, and that thing was this folklore of women on the prairie in the late 1800s going mad and going mad because of the incessant howling of the wind. Now, I think that became a metaphor for their loneliness and isolation and a lot of other things that contributed to melancholia and depression at that time. But I found that such an interesting jumping off point to tell a horror film. And Teresa Sutherland, the writer, used it as a launching pad to take it into supernatural spaces at times and horror spaces at other times. And obviously the whole framework was a Western. So it was the best of so many worlds, the script in particular.
It sounds like it. It just sounds fascinating. You were talking about, women going mad and the horror, and that it's based on a true story or true events, shall we say. So that documentary aspect is not
for sure.
it's not left your focus in this making of this film. So it's neat to see how that all connects. Your career all connects and culminates in this film, and hopefully many more films to come.
I hope so. I sure do.
Tell us, what else can you tell us about this film and the process of making it? Where was it shot? You know, what did you do to prepare for that? And
yeah, I mean, and what kind of differences and challenges did you have to face? Because you've had all this experience in doing documentary, and now you're doing a narrative. I mean, this is something of a left turn for you in terms of the creative process. So, what kind of interesting experiences did you have in the making of the movie?
Yeah, I mean, we shot in New Mexico, which was such a fertile, I think, ground for shooting this film. We were on primarily 2 locations that were pretty removed from town. We were about a half-hour drive outside of Santa Fe, and I have to say, being a setting that felt authentic to the story, I think was really inspiring to the cast and crew on a daily basis, and certainly to me. A lot of our cell phones didn't work out there. I think we felt a little detached from all of our modern comforts, and we were really able to stay focused in the moment and the time period and in the story. It's a very small cast. It's 5 people, and the whole story really hinges on Caitlin Gerard, who plays Lizzie, so really one woman. It is her POV throughout the whole film. And there's a lot of, scenes where it's just her and out here in the middle of nowhere. And I think having that level of isolation was really cool. On top of that, our production design team did an amazing job of dressing our sets 360 pretty much, which is super rare, let alone for an independent film to have that. And basically we could point the camera and shoot in any direction at most times. So that's all to say that was a whole other level of world building. I think that the cast was able to enter and, open drawers and discover things and props of that time period that our production design team had done such an amazing job sourcing. So there was this feeling, I think, of investment that everyone was bringing into the project. Our shoot schedule was fairly short and we had to go at a pretty rapid pace, but I think the biggest challenge for me was, really figuring out how to keep our days moving, but still feel like we were taking our time with each scene and really letting the actors feel like they had time and room to explore and play, and that we were able to get a variety of performances out of, each scene. So it was different challenges than doing a documentary in that way, because you really want to preserve the performances and you can do everything possible to prepare, but then you have to let it all go in that moment and really be in the zone with the actors and the cinematographer. And it's a dance between the camera and the director and the actor. So I found that so uniquely special to this process.
Well, that's great. Did you have enough wind out there for you?
Well, I was going to ask, what was the weather like?
Oh my gosh!
Living in the desert Southwest
so
that we
wind.
do, because we live in.
It was insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
you just walk outside the cabin as you see in the film, but as we experienced also just shooting there, and it was just flat, and the endless sky and the endless land is just being blown and blown and blown by the wind. And I think in the cabins, we would just be like, we would ourselves be driven a little crazy by the constant howling of the wind through the wooden boards. And it was really real. We brought a lot of wind machines to set, and I think we used them maybe twice.
Oh, wow.
And it was it was always like laugh with our producers, like, we really wasted some money on this. And, it was a trip though. And it was wild that we didn't need that at all. We were really in the belly of the beast in that sense, which was so great.
Right. What time of year did you
That's my
shoot?
next question.
We were there October into November.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So it started
Yeah.
getting very cold towards the end of our shoot as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that was also when we were doing night shoots. So, man, our cast and crew were brave because it was pretty darn cold
Yeah,
for
'cause-
a good chunk of the
Yeah,
end
Santa
of the
Fe.
shoot
Santa
there.
Fe's up there. I lived in Albuquerque, and I lived. I don't know if you know Albuquerque, but I-40 comes right through the canyon, right there on the east side
Yeah.
of town between the Manzanos and the Sandia.
Sandia, thank you.
And I lived right there on Tramway, and the canyon winds, my God, they would blow for days and days, and it would make you crazy, seriously. So I trust me, I understand the wind in New Mexico, and that it's wonderful though that you could have that.
Well, it
that you
adds
could work with.
it adds even more authenticity to your project, which
Yeah.
I think is an awesome thing.
Thanks. No, I felt that as well. And there would just be magic moments while we were shooting where in the middle of a take, a big gust would come and either, blow one of our actresses' dresses or a little dust bowl would circulate. And it just added a whole other, element and texture to that take. And it was really great being out there and interacting with the environment like that because the whole film really hinges on the environment being such a central character and the wind itself being such a central character.
Right.
And certainly the sound design was a huge part of that too.
Did you get any tumbleweeds while you were there?
We did. We sure did.
I saw a tumbleweed the size of my car coming at me one time.
It's alive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was huge. It was like, what the hell is that thing?
Terrified.
Yeah, and then you get
man.
a
And
completely different kind of horror movie.
Yes. And the storms that would roll in were also just so dramatic and
Oh, they are.
exciting. And, the thunder would just shake the whole ground. And it was, it's an incredible landscape, as you guys know so well.
Yeah, I was
Especially up
wondering.
in Santa Fe. It's just the storms up there are very different than the storms down in the lowlands in Albuquerque. Even though Albuquerque is 6,000 feet,
Yeah,
Santa Fe is even higher.
I'd stayed in Abiquiu, which is just not far from Santa Fe years ago, and the storms were daily and very, very dramatic and very, very impressive. But I would have thought that by October they would have started to kind of wane. I guess not.
They did. We caught a couple of them at the tail end of our pre-production period, but we really lucked out because when we were out there location scouting, it had just been, I think, raining pretty incessantly. So we definitely, our schedule could have been impacted by that pretty badly, and we lucked out. But yeah, we missed the rain season just. It
Cool.
was great.
So what's in store now for you as a filmmaker? Do you have other things lined up? Are you going back to documentaries to supplement your income to make another independent film, or what?
Oh, that's hilarious to think that documentaries could ever supplement income. I think sadly,
Well,
we're not quite there yet.
Or we're not
Quite the opposite,
supplement, or at least pay the bills for the moment.
Yeah. I did produce a documentary that's coming out at the end of this summer called Jay Myself, and that was directed by Stephen Wilkes, who's a fantastic still photographer, and this is his first documentary feature. So I'm having so much fun still producing documentaries and helping other filmmakers, tell great stories. But in terms of my own directorial trajectory coming up, I really want to focus on narrative, and I'm reading a bunch of scripts right now, and I'm also developing some stories and projects with writers that I really adore and want to work with, including Teresa Sutherland, who wrote The Wind. So I think I'm still a little ways out to starting the next project, but I'm eagerly hunting it down.
Given that this was a horror...
And
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say some of those projects are genre and some are not. So, really looking at kind of a large scope of types of projects to dig into.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Being that this was a horror film, what were you possibly looking at in the future? But if you're looking at all types, and I guess that sort of answers my question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's such a golden time right now for horror films. I mean, the films that I'm so excited to see coming up in the next couple of months include so many horror films. You know, Us this weekend, obviously, and Ari Aster's new film coming out. And I mean, there's just so many. So I think it's impossible to ignore just what great stories and content is being made right now within the genre space. And I'm so excited to be a part of that, and I'd love to keep being a part of that.
Well, the nice thing
but
about...
I also am just...
No, please go ahead.
Oh, just really drawn to strong characters and stories. So, you know, one of the things that I loved about The Wind is I felt like it was rooted in such great drama, and the character arcs were so strong. And I felt like even if it didn't have the horror elements, this would be a story that I would love to make and that I would love to watch. So I think, you know, that foundation, as a director, you're just looking for that foundation of a story and a script, and regardless of what genre it lives in.
I was going to say that one of the things about being independent, and I'm not necessarily knocking the big studio, because that's where the big bucks are and that's where the big marketing is. I'm sure Jordan Peele is right now pretty excited about the box office returns that Us is getting. But the neat thing about independent film is that really it solely rests on the people telling the story. There's not so much of the machine that's kind of getting in the way and telling them how to make it. Because I've seen more horror films over the past several years, and I find that the bulk of them, the ones that are that come from independent people, tend to be far better in quality than you might get out of the big studio. And I find looking at independent horror films far more exciting. So it gives me even greater reason to want to watch The Wind.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw Climax a couple of weeks ago, which actually played at the Toronto Film Festival in the same Midnight Madness section as The Wind did, but I hadn't seen it there, and I saw it opening weekend. And, oh, man, that film is so strong. And I got to say, like, the first half of it is like a fun dance movie almost, and then the second half of it takes you through hell and back, and you walk out so altered and so disturbed in the best sense. And I just think there's a lot of genre blending happening right now, and there's a lot of horror film that's breaking the molds of the genre in interesting ways, and I think that's really exciting.
Well, I just have to say congratulations and thank you for being a woman in horror filmmaking, because that is kind of... We've become accidental activists for a number of different things over the last couple of years, and one of them is to support women filmmakers and women in horror specifically, and it's wonderful. We find that some of the best horror films are made by women.
Thanks. Well, thank you for supporting. I think getting a multiplicity of voices in the mix from the directing standpoint is essential, and I really hope and think that it's opening up to a bunch of newcomers right now, and hopefully those newcomers are representing a lot of different perspectives and coming from different backgrounds. So here's to hoping. We gotta keep pushing for it, but I think there's some momentum behind that.
You bet.
Yeah.
So if people want to learn more about The Wind, where can they find out about that? I mean, obviously you've got a screening coming up pretty soon, but is there any kind of social media or website that people can go to in order to be able to learn more about this movie?
Yeah, I think www.thewindifc.com has all of our screening info and all of our streaming info. And that's kind of the main hub. You can follow IFC Midnight on social, and they've been doing a lot of great posts about the film right now. And as you say, it's playing at the Egyptian Theater this Tuesday in LA, which we're so excited about. It's such a historic cinema. And just an honor to play there.
Cool. That sounds awesome. I mean, I kind of wish we could be there for that.
Yeah.
But we're here in Phoenix.
Yeah, come out.
I know.
I know.
Come out April 5th.
Well, we haven't won the lottery yet.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we still have day jobs, so that kind of stinks because I would love to be able to go down there. Well, I mean, as we were talking before the interview started, I mean, we love the Egyptian Theater. It's a fantastic venue for movies, and to be able to see this, I mean, I very much want to see this movie. I mean, I love horror. The concept sounds very interesting.
So is the screening at the Egyptian, is that a limited screening for press, or are there ways people
it's only
can...
that one. Sorry, it's only that one night. Beyond Fest is sponsoring it with American Cinematheque, which is so cool. I think the film that's playing at the Egyptian the night before is like Wings of Desire or something. It was like, to be playing at a cinema the same week that Wings of Desire is playing is so exciting.
Yeah.
One of my favorite all time. But then it's doing a theatrical release. Weekend of April 5th is our opening weekend, and it is simultaneously streaming. Available for rentals on VOD, so iTunes and all that good stuff. And yeah, it's playing in about a little over 30 theaters, I think, across the country. So
Super.
Please check out the listings.
That is
we'll
great.
definitely be looking out for it.
And your Twitter is at the Wind Movie, so we want everybody will definitely tag that. Well, thank you, Emma, for being on the show with us this time.
Oh no, yes, thank you very much.
Fabulous. Thanks so much, you guys. It's really fun chatting.
Hey guys, my name's Gigi Edgley. I play Tiana on Farscape, and I'm the host of Jim Henson's Creature Shop Challenge, and you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks. Big love.
Yeah, that was a really fascinating interview with Emma.
I'm looking forward to seeing that movie very much.
It could be a lot of fun. And I put Gigi in there as the shout-out because...
we just started watching Farscape. Now it's available on Prime.
Farscape is available on Amazon Prime. My God, it's been impossible to find it streaming anywhere.
No.
And it's impossible.
You can't buy it. It's too expensive.
And you can't buy it. I mean, it was horrible.
The price, we looked at it. It was way too expensive.
Yeah, so anyway, watching Farscape again with Gigi. And this is our birthday music that we have. Here's a few selected birthdays for March 25th through March 31st, 2019. March 25th, Sir Elton John. Lee Pace, who was just in the Captain Marvel film, as well as several other things. Aretha Franklin. Bella Bartok, who was a composer in the early 20th century. He composed Bluebeard's Castle, as well as a lot of other things, and most of his work was based on Hungarian folk melodies.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, he was a music ethnologist, I think is what they titled him, because he really went around. He was very fond of Bulgarian music, Hungary, and all of that, along with Franz Liszt. He's one of the two celebrated composers from Hungary. Also, Matthew Garber, who was Victor Garber's cousin.
It's a fact.
It's a fact. No, he was the kid in the original Mary Poppins.
Yes. Sadly,
Michael.
He got very, very sick and passed away many years ago.
Stop scravenging along. Arturo Toscanini on March 25th, who is famous conductor, and also a friend of ours on Facebook, Damian Gennardi. March 26th, Diana Ross, Leonard Nimoy, Robert Frost, Tennessee Williams, Martin Short, and who else?
This Tomasi guy.
Chuck Tomasi and things.
Yeah.
Chuck Tomasi. Happy birthday, Chuck. March 27th, Quentin Tarantino, Nathan Fillion, Gloria Swanson.
Oh, I wanted to put something in the middle. Give her the expletive middle name.
Yes, starting with an F.
Yes.
And Michael York and Sarah Vaughan, who is a wonderful woman of color who was a fabulous singer. Yeah. March 28th, Stefani Geminotta,
I'm glad you got to say that because I would have butchered that name.
also known as Lady Gaga.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, shows you what I didn't know.
Yeah. Also on March 28th, Marlon Perkins. Anybody of a certain age who grew up watching Johnny Carson and among others is familiar with Marlon Perkins.
He had that Sunday night TV show on NBC.
It was Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. There we go. Yeah. That's what it was. And also on March 28th, Diane Weist.
Weist?
Weist?
I thought it was Weist. But...
Weist? I don't know. Anyway, somebody has to love me.
Somebody has to love me most.
Yes. And Bart Connor, gymnast. March 29th, Eric Idle.
Whom I had the pleasure of bumping into in San Francisco one day.
Yeah, in the Japanese tea garden.
Right.
Yeah.
It was quite a nice little experience.
Yeah. Also, Marina Sirtis, Cy Young.
They named... I forget it.
Oh, he was named after a famous baseball award.
I so butchered the joke.
That's okay. I do the same thing.
Pay no attention to that guy behind the microphone. He's an idiot.
Lucy Lawless, Vangelis, and good friend Joe Hogan. Happy birthday, Joe. March 30th, Vincent van Gogh, Eric Clapton, Robbie Coltrane, Francisco Goya, who was a painter, artist, sculptor. I'm only familiar with Goya's work because when my sister and I were very, very young, my dad had given us a book from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It had all kinds of different artwork in there that you could buy, lithographs. Yeah. And Goya was featured significantly in that book. Also on March 30th, Ingvar Kamprad.
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
No.
He makes our homes lovely with furniture and gives us a nervous breakdown
IKEA?
At the same time. Yes.
Okay.
Lovely homes and nervous breakdowns. Putting that furniture together. Also on March 30th, Jethro Tull.
The agriculturalist,
yes,
not the band.
Not the band. Ian Ziering and John Aston. March 31st, Christopher Walken, Ewan McGregor, and JSB.
I'm going to guess that's Johann Sebastian Bach.
You would be correct.
Okay. Thank God I got something right.
Yes. Cesar Chavez and Joseph Haydn, or Franz Joseph Haydn for those that are musical purists. Richard Chamberlain, Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, or just Herb Alpert. Sorry, yeah, that's his birthday. René Descartes. I'm thinking about him.
I'm not.
Poof. Yes. Also on March 31st, Ed Catmull, who, without Ed's experience, and he is a computer scientist, and his expertise, Pixar would not exist.
And the entire animation landscape would look completely different. In fact, it might have gone away completely.
You never know. And also on March 31st, to wrap up these birthdays for this time, is Miguel Rodriguez. Happy birthday, Miguel. He's one of our good friends and the director of the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival. And that's it for the birthdays for this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad?
Not me.
That's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name.
Not anymore.
They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go over to chuckchat.com and give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama. And now,
Rama.
what time is it?
I believe you called it. I'm waiting on you. Are you done? No. Now he's done. Everybody's favorite feedback, as he likes to put it. So, starting with CG Geeks episode 211, we got a comment from Lee Kalinsky. We interviewed him on that episode. And he said, thank you for the interview. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the support. Next up, Black and Blue Together. That's the
cool.
next project that he'd be working on.
That sounds like it's probably the kids from the New Jersey and the police
And the
department.
police department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. We have to talk to him again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got a comment from Arkle, Mr. Brian Weber. He says, we had done a little chat about Into the Spider-Verse. And he said, Into the Spider-Verse was in my top 3 movies of last year, and I'm glad you guys got around to seeing it. I say this as someone who liked Spider-Man Homecoming and will always love the first 2 Sam Raimi movies. But I think Into the Spider-Verse might be just the best Spider-Man movie, period. And I'm totally looking forward to the spin-off movies, Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Ham. The Spider-Man Noir I want because it just looks like it's just such an interesting story. And Spider-Ham because it's just nuts.
Oh, I thought that was Spider-Pig.
No.
Not Spider-Pig?
No, that's from The Simpsons.
Oh. Spider-Ham.
Yeah, Spider-Ham.
Oh, dang it.
And then we ran an article. This is regarding a trailer for the movie Yesterday, and that movie comes out June 28th. Ha, 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 ha. And I got a comment from Ari Marino. She left this comment on Instagram, and she says, I saw the trailer the other day, and I can't stop thinking about it. And I just recently watched the trailer again the other day, and I'm right with you, Ari. I can't stop thinking about this movie. It looks really interesting. Have you seen the trailer for this film?
Mm-hmm.
It looks completely
It
amazing.
looks fascinating.
Especially, I love the music of the Beatles.
Yeah.
I'm crazy about it. And the idea that this man now comes, into this new Twilight Zone-like universe with this, catalog of Beatles music in his brain that never got published into this other world, I think it's going to be a very interesting movie.
Yeah, it could be fascinating.
And then I did a little article about Star Trek Discovery. It was the 3-episode thoughts for Season 2. Got a comment from Eric Alexander, and he says, you write beautifully, but I will not support Disco, my friend. Waiting for a Picard series. Orville is good, I think, and I've barely watched it. Very well.
Well,
and then
it gets better.
The entire series got so much better right on episode 2.
Absolutely.
It just ramped up so well. I'm very much enjoying it. And then, we got a comment for an article. It was a review that I wrote for the movie At the End of the Day.
Which was a great film.
Wonderful movie. Got a comment from October Coast. They're the PR firm that was handling the movie. They said, thank you so much for the coverage. And I got a comment from my friend Andy Athey in Texas, and he said, just rented it off iTunes, so I'll watch it later. And the only reason I say it is, Andy, well, it's been some time now. What did you think? I'd like to know what you thought about that movie.
Yeah.
And then Andrea's Angle took a look at the Netflix Umbrella Academy, calling it quirky and bold. Got a comment from James Somerton, and he says, I need to finish watching 5 more episodes. That's my plan for the weekend. Okay, James, that was several weekends ago. What are your thoughts? Would like to know. And they got a comment from Scott.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah. And they got a comment. Hey, Scott Linder left a comment.
Yay,
Thank you, Scott.
Scott.
Haven't heard from you for a while. Nice to see a comment from you. And he said, just a quick thought about this series. It's good. Quirky, completely dysfunctional, and hilarious in spots. It's really done quite well. Some of the acting isn't top-notch, but a lot of it is quite excellent. Go in a few episodes, and if you aren't hooked, I'll be surprised. My favorite part so far is Klaus's journey throughout this first season.
Absolutely.
Hashtag no spoilers.
You bet.
Absolutely. And then we close this off with Al's Affectations. This is Al Sparrow writing a review for the DC Universe series Doom Patrol. And he actually left an additional comment to his article. And he says, I've been reading Doom Patrol since I was a kid. My actual intro to them was the brief showcase run that had Negative Woman, introduced Celsius and Tempest, and had arguably the worst robot variant ever. Although the face was pretty cool if I remember correctly. Anyhow, I love the show. Hopefully that comes across in the article. Well, Al, it did come across in the article.
Absolutely.
And I remember that showcase run too, so you're in good company. And that is our feedback for this time.
And you can leave feedback for us as well, and you can get a shout out on an episode or future episode. You can leave comments on our YouTube episodes at tggeeks.com on each of the episodes, on any of the articles, and also on any of the articles that we post onto Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and MySpace, as well as any of the other places that you find other fine TG Geeks content. So we also have a listener feedback line. If you want to call and leave a voicemail message, we'll play that on air. Call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as we always say, please play nice.
Hi, this is Queen Karishma. And you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
Okay, so as Keith mentioned earlier, when we did the birthdays and mentioned Lee Pace, yes, we saw Captain Marvel again.
Again.
Yeah.
It was wonderful again.
I liked it better the second time.
Well, yeah, because I was able to catch a lot of things that I didn't catch the first time, having no clue who Captain Marvel was or anything for myself, but just being able to see it again, it was really, really great.
Well, also, I think it helps. There's parts of the movie that seem very disjointed. It's deliberate. There's a reason why those segments exist in this film. And you put it in context later on. It's like, oh, now I understand why everything at this part was this particular way. But at least now, by actually having the opportunity to see it a second time, knowing everything that you do, it allows you to put that disjointed portion of the movie into a better frame of reference. So
Yeah.
it made that more enjoyable. The lines are, I think, in some cases even funnier.
Yeah. Yes. A couple of them, yes.
There's a few of them, yeah.
No spoilers
No
still.
spoilers. And the movie is just really...
It's doing great at the box
it's
office.
amazing. Amazing
In
what
fact,
it's pulling in.
What is it doing in the box office?
I'm not sure, but
let's look here.
I believe it was number 1 for 2 weeks in a row, and we should be finding out if it's number 3 pretty soon.
Actually, Captain Marvel for this weekend has done $35 million.
I'm guessing Us probably took
And,
number 1.
Yeah, actually, top 2019 movies right now, Captain Marvel is number 1 at $321 million.
Wow.
Worldwide, Captain Marvel, $910 million.
Oh, and I remember reading an article just a few days ago they thought it would cross the 800 million mark globally.
Yep. That's as of today, 910 million, or as of yesterday of this, today recording, but which is yesterday of the film, or of Stop Talking.
Yeah.
I can't talk. And I don't know when to stop talking sometimes. But Captain Marvel, yes, is you must go see it. It's a great film.
I think it's enjoyable. I mean, to no end. I absolutely love the movie. I know that a few of our friends are more meh about it than you and I are, but I think it's amazing.
Yeah. And we want to give a shout out to the Joshua Tree Strikeout Hunger event that we participated in yesterday.
Yes,
It was
and my shout out for that is ouch.
It was a bowl-orama, if you will. And oh my gosh, we bowled 5 games.
5 games.
Oh my Lord, I am so sore.
I wrote in Facebook last night, I haven't bowled in over 23 years. And yesterday was the first time I did 5 games. And while some of my technique was coming back as we were going on, my muscles were not.
Yeah.
Especially the legs. I mean, anybody who bowls regularly knows that the legs get a really good workout, and they were not accustomed. So by the end of that, the 3 hours we were bowling, I was just like throwing the stupid thing down the lane.
Absolutely. So it was great fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, we met some new people, talked to people. They raised some money for Joshua Tree. They have a special event. We got more about the Joshua Tree shortly. And we also want to announce the upcoming event out at the Opera. It's Pride Night at the Opera, Saturday, April 5th. Tickets are still available, and you can use a promo code PRIDE1819. That's all uppercase PRIDE 1819 as a promo code, and save 50% on tickets except for the pink seats. Interesting that was the pink seats, but those are the lowest price seats. But it's a great deal. You can also get a ticket to the pre-performance reception for Out at the Opera, April 5th, and the opera is Marriage of Figaro. It's supposed to be the perfect opera, or Mozart's perfect opera. It's one of our favorites, so we're going to have a great time there. We'll be there ourselves, so pick up your tickets and come join us. And we want to say thank you to everyone who has followed us on Twitter and Facebook. We now have 3,000 Twitter followers.
Wow.
And 500 Facebook followers. So thank you to everybody. Please follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook. You'll get to see all of the things that we publish on Facebook and Twitter. And you can stay up with the TG Geeks content and news.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
If you are in transition or have already transitioned and are in crisis, or you know of someone in crisis, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by specially trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to the translifeline.org for more information about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. And now Ben's going to give us a rundown of the week's previous activity on tggeeks.com. We're busy as always. Wow.
Yeah. Starting off with Sunday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Dr. Zombie Monster Family... but it probably wasn't an Irish strip. But Dr. Zombie Monster Family Physician number 40.
Yay.
Also, the movie Depraved had its world premiere at What the Fest on March 20th. On Monday, the 18th, there was TG Geeks episode number 213, and Jeannie Koch had one of Jeannie's yaps. She can't wait for Aladdin.
Aladdin.
And then on Tuesday, March 19th, Erin's Arcade of Words. She reviews the sequels, issue number 2, Intergalactic Exchange Student. And we also had a press release for the second.
That's from Fanbase Press.
Yeah, from Fanbase Press.
Comicsology.
That's right. And then had a press release. The second Malaga Festival Fund and Co-Production event selects Patricia Chica's Montreal Girls. Yay, Patricia.
Yay.
And then on Wednesday, the 20th, Andrew's Angle returns with the movie The Mustang. This is by Robert Redford. She calls it a movie with second chances. This looks like a really beautiful and tear-jerking movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely looks just gorgeous. Thank you for the review on that, Andrea. And then Jeannie has another one of her yaps. She can't wait for Avengers Endgame. Well, you and the rest of the world.
Exactly.
And then on Thursday, the 21st, I had a review for Jordan Peele's latest horror film, Us. And also Andrea's Angle. This time she has a review for the Netflix series The Order, calling it spooky supernatural vibe.
Yeah, so we've got two reviews, two different angles on that.
Yes.
Andrea's Angle and Ben's Breakdown.
And then on Friday, March 22nd, new sushi number 55, Morsels of News from Japan and Beyond. Also, Erin's Arcade of Words number 4. She gives her top 10 list of cult classic RPGs. Also, Ro came back with a review of the Blu-ray DVD Mary Poppins Returns and This Week in Home Entertainment.
Yay.
And then, to close it off for Saturday, March 23rd, we got something from Russ Kashmirzak.
Yay,
he has
Russ.
the Karaoke Chronicles, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. And if you like karaoke war stories, check this out. It's fun. And then lastly, the press release for the Joshua Tree Feeding Program Strikeout Hunger Event.
Yeah. You can find all these things at tggeeks.com as well as on our Facebook page. We publish everything to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on our website. Please visit and comment. As always, we have our follow-up items, and everybody knows we are huge supporters of independent creators, especially like Emma Tammi that we just talked to earlier. She is an independent filmmaker. And whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others, please support independent creators by buying their stuff, talking about their stuff, telling people about their stuff. And if you go to a con, please have cash for them if they're there and you want to buy something. Please support independent creators. The Joshua Tree Feeding Program. The goal of the Joshua Tree Feeding Program is to provide nourishment to low-income HIV-positive residents of Maricopa County. They provide a balanced meals from their pantry, as well as medical and community resources to encourage self-sustainability of their clients in a social, supportive, and welcoming environment where privacy, cultural, spiritual, and religious views are respected. Please consider supporting Joshua Tree either with a single gift or a monthly recurring gift. Go to jtfp.org and contribute today. Thank you.
Special shout out to the Human Arkle. We heard some feedback from him a little bit earlier. He puts out the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News that republishes our content from time to time. And you can find him on Twitter by searching Arkle, at Arkle, A-R-K-L-E. And he also has his shameless cash
grab.
Yeah, it's a cash grab.
He's going to grab Cass.
Yeah, your mama. Did I just get you there?
Oh, my God. I can't believe you just said that.
Right.
Oh, dear.
I don't know if I can get through this now.
The shameless cash grab.
The shameless mama cash grab.
Yeah.
Mama cash. Wow. We're messing this up big time, guys.
Degenerated.
Arkle has the shameless cash grab on YouTube. All you have to do is go to youtube.com/user/Arkle Studios, and you can find his shameless cash grab there. Also, we need to give a couple of shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First, to Gay Geeks After Hours. We must give a big thanks to the moderators for and they literally said share away. They love it when we share stuff. So we're happy to share it there. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/gaygeeksafterhours. Also, must give a shout out to The Gay Geek for also allowing us to share our episodes and relevant articles there. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/thegaygeek. And special thanks, most heartfelt thanks to Jeremiah Reeves, the moderator there. He has been very supportive and encouraging of us sharing our content there.
Yes, thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we are found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Anchor, as well as the places other fine podcasts can be found and places that we're discovering ourselves. So please check it out. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays and listen to their other content. They are a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Up next time, who knows? We got several things that we could run. Depends on whether something timely comes in, but we'll have an interesting show for you nonetheless. So stay tuned. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page of things that we've talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Peace.
Mama Cash says cheers.